Tonight, I can report to the American people and to the world that the United States has conducted an operation that killed Osama bin Laden.
Where we continue to follow the capture and killing of Osama bin Laden now.
Those are just some of the scenes overnight as thousands of Americans gathered in celebration of Osama bin Laden's death.
Former Navy SEAL Rob O'Neill says he has thought about the mission every day since that May Day in 2011.
For multiple conversations you had with Rob O'Neill over the past year and a half, how'd you get
access? And you described that his head kind of exploded when you hit him.
I actually hit him 3 times because I shot him twice when he was standing and once on the ground.
That is the fucking American badass right there.
Go, go, go. We are not going for fame and we are not going for bravado. We are going for the single mom who dropped her kids off at elementary school on a Tuesday morning, and then 45 minutes later she jumped to her death out of a skyscraper.
If you need help, hang up and then dial your operator.
I'm Rob O'Neill, and this is the Operator Podcast. Okay, time is flying, and this is episode 95 of the Operator Podcast. This is a fun one today. I wasn't sure if it was 84 or 94 or 95. It is 95 today, and I'm interviewing my friend and teammate, Navy SEAL Will Branum. I've known him since the beginning. He was already at Buds when I got there. We graduated together. We went through SEAL tactical training together. We went through sniper school together. I think that was all before we even deployed, but we both graduated to the rank of senior chief, which is an E8, and that's when we both got out. But we're going to talk a lot about leadership. He's got a couple different points from being a senior enlisted leader in the SEAL teams, everything from bringing new guys up to getting the tactics right to bringing new officers in that technically outrank you, but here's how we do it and tack a sir on that. The old joke was just wearing the top row today, sir, when they have the 3 things. That was funny. But it's going to be fun. Will's a great dude. Will was actually, he went to SEAL Delivery Vehicle Team 1 when we graduated Buds. He went to 2, SEAL Delivery Vehicle Team 2, and I went to SEAL Team 2. We're going to talk about the SEAL Delivery Vehicle today, the SDV. I've never been in one, and I'm never going to be in one. I picture, he'll describe it, I'm sure. But being there because of just the shit that looks cool that isn't, SDV is one of them. I mentioned some over-the-horizon stuff last week. The stuff they do in the SDV and for how long, completely miserable. But what I did talk about over the horizon, over the beach type ops with Zodiacs and whatnot, I mentioned Zodiac ass, which is that horrible feeling, and that is perfect because he can really explain the SDV ass and all the stuff and the smells that go with it, and that's perfect for our sponsor today, which is Mando. Mando is introducing Lumi for men. This is the all over body deodorant stuff. You might have heard of whole body deodorant. Anyway, Lumi's doing it now. I just watched an ad with Dr. Shannon Klingman, who's the founder of Mando, talking about the different flavors, if you will, the different scents. She was mentioning the bourbon leather. I don't have that. The Pro Sport, though, my go-to is definitely Mount Fuji. I mean, when you try this out, I'm telling you, like, it smells like party time right there. But Lumi for Men, it's the same clinically proven doctor-developed formula, but in cologne scents for men. My favorite, like I said, Mount Fuji. Mando's made from mandelic acid, which is basically this acid that gets to the sweat-eating bacteria that's on your skin, and it causes odor to go away before there's even odor. So you don't have to smell bad in the first place, but this is going to help. And you can put it anywhere. This stuff goes anywhere. I just got out of the shower. I put it on the pits and other spots too, near the Zodiac ass. I mean, I use it in the mornings. I use it at night. I wake up smelling great, and I go to bed smelling great. The scent's so good too that you're gonna get along well in your house with your significant other. I'm telling you. Get Mando now, and you will get full benefit. The whole body deodorant. It is seriously safe to use anywhere, like I mentioned. Aluminum-free, baking soda-free, cruelty-free. It's vegan for all you vegans that listen to this show. It's dye-free. It's gonna get rid of odor better than soap alone. Here's an interesting little tidbit. 12 hours after a shower, the average man's grundle, this is scientific, the grundle odor was about 5 out of 10. With Mando, the average grundle odor is 0 out of 10. That's what I'm talking about. Mando is where it's at. Here's a special offer, though. Just if that wasn't good enough, just smelling well and having your significant other love you. New customers get $5 off Mando's best-selling starter pack with code THEOPERATOR at shopmando.com. Shopmando, MANDO.com, code THEOPERATOR. You're asking what's in the starter pack. It's perfect for new customers. It comes with a solid stick deodorant, cream tube deodorant, and 2 free products. I personally like the body wash and then the deodorant wipes, plus free shipping at shopmando.com. shopmando.com. I have a discount code for you to get hooked on my favorite smelling whole body deodorant, the best one on the market. New customers, again, $5 off a starter pack with our exclusive code, which equates to 40% off of your starter pack. So go use code THEOPERATOR at shopmando.com. Again, shopmando.com, code THEOPERATOR, and that's 40% off starter pack. Go get some. I also need to talk about preparation. We talk about preparation all the time. Will you be ready when the time gets here? Because you might not have a chance to gather stuff up when you need to bounce, when you need to grab your go bag. This podcast is brought to you by my friends at My Patriot Supply, and I need you to listen up because this is very important. Another day, another breaking news story buried. They'd rather talk about anything else than what's really going on. It's not because they don't know what's happening. The media pundits and talking heads just don't want you paying attention. That's for their own selfish reasons. The real stories, you have to look beyond the headlines for them. You know, the truth is being covered up. Prepare for what will come, like I said before, with my friends at My Patriot Supply. Since 2008, My Patriot Supply has helped millions of Americans get ready for the worst. Today, their best-selling 3-month emergency food kits are flying off the shelves. Get yours right now at my website. Go to preparewithrob.com. preparewithrob.com. This food kit offers over 2,000 calories every day, plus ultra-durable 4-layer packaging. It lasts up to 25 years in storage. I have mine downstairs ready to rock and roll. They are good for 25 years. Order the kits you need for $200 off each, free shipping included. You've been warned about what can happen. Do not live in fear. Take back your future. Because this isn't just food, this is freedom. So stock up on these food kits. Go to preparewithrob.com. Preparewithrob.com. Check out these food kits. Get them for your family. You will not be sorry. Preparewithrob.com.
And what we're doing now, though, is we're getting in some kick-ass interviews. Speaking of operators, I'm bringing a dear friend, Will Branum, to the Operator Podcast. He and I have known each other for a long time.
Long time, yeah.
Will's a Navy. He was a Navy SEAL longer than me. 27 years.
26, yeah.
26. Sorry.
Yeah.
27's the that's when they cut you.
Well, you could go to all the way up to 26 as an E8, unless
Yes.
you do some sort of special overseas, whatever.
Yeah.
Really shit mission. And I was like, I don't want to do that mission. That's the whole point of
Yeah. Well, because I think as an E8, in my experience anyway, you can still be in the field with the guys doing your job as a Master Chief. And I might be saying this because I didn't make Master Chief.
Nor did I.
Yeah.
So we're good.
So they're a bunch of kiss ass.
Yeah.
No, some of the best dudes I've worked with did make Master Chief.
I like to say that I was not politically correct enough to be
Well, that's the problem. I say that too.
Yeah.
A lot of mug shots.
Yeah.
Anyway. No, so we've known each other a long time. We went through Buds together.
Yep.
Graduated. What I heard was the last hard class.
I believe it was.
Buds class
yeah.
208, 1996, December 96. Is that right? Yeah.
96 or 97?
96. 96, because I checked into SEAL Team 2 in 97.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
And then you checked into SDV 2.
Yep.
And then, now I'm fast forwarding because this has been on my mind for the better part of 2.5 decades. Because we went through SEAL tactical training together, sniper school together.
Yep.
I need to bring this up, and I've been dying to say this to you. I have felt guilty about this for a very long time.
Tell me about it.
Well, I have a big mouth, and I like to tell jokes. And we were at sniper school. Both new guys had not deployed.
Correct.
And I told the joke. The joke sucked. I'm a big believer in
all of your jokes suck.
Well, come on, I guess
not all of them.
And
Sorry.
scene. But but I told and you got to do a plot. I didn't know where you were from, and I'm telling this joke. You probably don't even remember, and I felt bad. I felt bad since I'm from then till now. And I said, there's a sheriff and a deputy in Meridian, Mississippi. And I tell this terrible joke, and everyone, nah, whatever. And you're like, I'm from Meridian, Mississippi. I'm like, I meant nothing by that. I
Did you go to A school there? Is that
no,
how you know what it is?
I thought it was a cool sounding place, and I legitimately thought you've been mad at me ever since. You don't even remember the joke, do you?
I don't even remember the
joke.
joke.
Sucked. Here's my guilt. I felt bad forever. I finally.
But I remember it wasn't that long ago. We were talking, and you said something about Meridian, Mississippi, and I was like, "How do you fucking know that? How do you know that?"
Because I told a horrible joke, and I've been carrying that. Because I've run into you several times in the past 30 years.
Yeah.
But I was like, one day we're going to be behind microphones, and I can officially get my apology out to Will Branum. I'm sorry. What are the chances from Butte, Montana, at sniper school in Indiana? Random. I could have said Sacramento. I could have said
anywhere.
I said Meridian, Mississippi.
No one even knows where that is. Go find it on the map.
Yeah, but Mississippi though is the that's like the most. They try to outdo each other with being nice. Mississippi,
Yeah.
they don't.
Hospitality, for sure.
The hospitality state. Yeah, they over hospitality themselves.
Yeah,
and I've gone to games in Mississippi State, and they always say that we've never won a game, but we never lost a tailgate. So that's my thing.
Nothing wrong with that.
All right. So anyway, Meridian, I'm glad. I was actually.
I'm sure that was a joke that was supposed to go somewhere.
I was like the other one, but I was hoping I could say that to you and thank you for not remembering or your forgetting. Anyway, so
all I remember from sniper school is when we did those cold bore shots, and you and your shooting partner were right next to Bob and I.
Yes.
And I would shoot first, and I would miss, and you would listen to the wind call, and then you guys would adjust.
That's
and then
you're giving up my secret how I got through sniper skill. Well, a lot of people don't realize too that the key to being a sniper is not shooting; it's the spotter.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I had a really good spotter. You had Bob Needham, right?
I did. Yeah.
God rest his soul. What I mean,
great dude.
Talk about the ultimate SEAL.
Yeah.
You ever? Okay. Has anyone ever said to you, "You don't look like a Navy SEAL"?
No.
Okay, they have to me every day. So that joke went to shit. But no, Bob Needham never heard that. He
no.
Yeah, what a great guy.
But he was slightly deformed though. He had the torso.
Too many abs.
He had the torso of like someone who was 6'2".
Yeah.
But the legs of someone who was 4'11".
That's I remember that.
Like his torso was extremely long, but his legs, I guess, good for being a wrestler or something. I'm not sure.
Yeah, he was probably all of that.
Yeah.
I just remember his abs have abs.
Yeah. He and Blake Johnson.
Blake Johnson too. Yes, another guy.
Yeah.
The perfect tan.
Yeah. Like how do you have that body? What's going on? Like weird genetics.
That was all around our era because they were both 207 guys.
Yeah.
We were 208 guys,
Yeah.
but we all went through.
Well,
SEAL.
I started in 205. It took me 13 short months to get through buds.
Let's get into that in a second, because what I want to talk about, I got to go back to Meridian, Mississippi, and I'm so happy. I feel like a weight's been lifted for my horrible. It wasn't even a bad. It was a horrible joke. Anyway, but
do you remember the joke? I feel like you.
No, it was bad. No, it was bad. I just brought it up. You heard someone say they wanted to go to SEAL training or the academy, and then you became an Eagle Scout.
Yeah, very close. So I was heavily involved in the Boy Scouts. I was poor. I was poor white trash. I was called poor white trash in Collinsville, Mississippi, which is even smaller. What I heavily involved in Boy Scouts. I don't think I was an Eagle Scout yet. Maybe I was. I don't remember. But I went to this national jamboree that my Boy Scout Association paid for me to go because they wanted representation and they knew we didn't have any money. And I linked up with a kid who was a good swimmer. And he was like, I'm going to go to the Naval Academy. I'm going to become a F-14 Tomcat pilot. And I'm going to become a Navy SEAL. I'm like, that's awesome. I want to do that. What's a Navy SEAL?
He wanted to become all of those.
He wanted to do all of those things.
He's seen the movies.
He clearly did.
Okay, good. So,
but he had a plan, and I was like, what's a Navy SEAL? And he explained it to me, and I was like, that's what I want to do also.
Really?
Because I always knew I wanted to be part of some sort of small elite military organization, although I didn't know what elite really was, because I was just like a mediocre, poor white trash kid in Collinsville, Mississippi. Outside of Meridian, Mississippi.
But it sounded like the thing to do. So did you swim at all?
I would say I was an okay swimmer, but I was not like a competitive swimmer. I actually hate swimming. I hate running. I hate all the things that we do as SEALs. I didn't know that I hated them. But I'm very comfortable in the water.
Well, but when people say to me like, "You want to go camping?" I'm like, "No, I don't. I've lived out there.
An RV, like in a hotel.
I mean, I can
like a nice hotel.
Now, see, I mean, so you live in Hawaii though, right?
Yeah.
Now that's nice water though. I mean, you got.
Yeah, and you know what? I think it was just out there, and snorkeling around, and I was freezing.
Really?
Yeah, because I've gotten used to the cold water. I've gotten used to the water. So I need 94-degree water.
Okay,
I think.
that's bathtub shit.
Yeah.
So how old were you when you heard about SEALs then?
It was the summer between my 11th and 12th grade of high school.
Oh, cool. Good.
So I came back from that jamboree. The Navy recruiter called me, and I swore I would never join the Navy, ever. My dad was in the Navy, grandfather, everyone was in the Navy. I made fun of the Navy, A school kids that were in my town. They would all show up in their uniforms, going out on liberty, and they were just a bunch of idiots. And I'm like, don't be one of those guys.
Yeah.
And don't join the Navy, and you can't become a Navy SEAL unless you join the Navy.
That's very true. So what were you going to do if you couldn't join the Navy?
I don't know if I might have become a Marine, maybe Force Recon, or maybe a Ranger or SF, because I knew what those guys were. Because they were, John Wayne was a Green Beret in the movie Green Beret.
That's right. So was Chuck Norris.
Chuck Norris.
He was a Delta Force.
He was a Delta Force guy. I don't even know if that organization actually exists.
I've never heard of them.
I've
actually heard of them, and they're awesome.
John Rambo.
Just so no one edits that. And says
no, right? Yeah, of course.
John Rambo was a Green Beret.
I thought he was a Ranger.
No, Green Beret.
Oh, see, I got that. I've been saying it wrong all this time.
He had his last. I was just at home with my wife, and I listened to this, and I said, "What should we do today?" And she said, "Well, the baby's asleep. Maybe we should get sushi and watch First Blood." I'm like, "This is why I married you."
Oh.
Yeah, but anyway, we were watching the beginning, and that's why he ended up there, because he went to see his last buddy in Washington, and it turns out he died from cancer from Agent Orange, and that's why he tried to get something to eat in the town. That King shit cop or whatever, and then and then
I clearly need to go back and watch the whole series.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
Maybe
Green Berets. Why the name? Because you joined like right after high school then.
Yeah, I actually joined in the delayed entry program in that time between 11th and 12th grade of high school.
Cool.
And so it was 12 months. But the reason I chose the Navy is because of the scuba diving part of it. Matter of fact, there was a kid. So I thought, when I grew up, we had 4 channels: ABC, CBS, NBC, and TBS. No, PBS.
Oh yeah.
And so, I watched a lot of like National Geographic and things like that. And so I wanted to like scuba dive, like the Great Barrier Reef and, things like that. And so I was very interested in the water component. And the SEAL teams are the only organization that had that water component.
Oh, yeah.
Of course, now I'm like, I'm good not being in the water. Totally fine not being in the water. I mean, I do have fun. I like spearfishing and things like that.
Yeah, but I agree with you too when you say I'm comfortable in the water. Yeah. But I've seen SEALs in combat. I'm going to patrol 5 clicks out of the way so I don't get my boots
So I don't have to walk. Yeah.
Well, they torture us, but to a point, it's like, okay, I get it.
Yeah.
This sucks. But you joined, and then it was a few years before you went to basic underwater.
Yeah, I made some tactical errors along the way. So number one, I failed the SEAL screening test the first time I took it.
In boot camp?
In boot camp.
Is that Great Lakes?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What'd you fail?
The push-ups.
I did too. I did the first time.
Yeah.
I blame it on the shots or whatever.
Yeah.
Excuses are easy.
For me, I just didn't do enough.
Okay.
To train.
Turns out
I'm like, how hard can it be?
Why'd you fail? It turns out I didn't do enough.
I didn't train. I'd actually train.
But that almost segues into something better because nobody learns from succeeding. You learn from failing.
100%. Always.
So did they give you just one shot at the screening test?
I could have taken it again, and I chose to wait until I went to A school. Mm-hmm. And then in A school, there was a group of guys that wanted to become SEALs also. Yeah. So we skipped lunch. So I just got like extra boxes of cereal at breakfast, skipped lunch, and we went back to one guy's room, and we just practiced doing push-ups, pull-ups, and sit-ups.
Good.
And I was in plenty good shape to take the screening test after that, but I was ranked high enough in the class I could take a C school.
Yes. Can you explain the difference between boot camp, A school, and C school?
So boot camp is everyone goes to boot camp. It's the assimilation into the military. Doesn't matter what branch it is. Navy has their own. We do a lot of folding our clothes and marching and making our bed.
Yeah.
And learning about the Navy. The A school is in the Navy. You have to have a technical trade to advance. Mm-hmm. Now we have special operations, and BUDS is really the A school. But I was a gunner's mate, which I thought was going to be cool. I thought I was going to learn about small arms, guns, and things like that. You don't actually learn anything about small arms. You learn electronics, pneumatics, and hydraulics.
Yes.
Something I've done zero with my entire naval career, or since I've been out.
Right. Or ever.
And so C school is where you go to learn about a very specific weapon system for me, a weapon system on a ship, one of those big great things that float out there in the ocean.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't want to be on one of those big great things floating out there in the ocean, but it turns out I had to go spend 24 months on one of them.
Mm-hmm.
And that was because when I took that sea school, so my thought process was A school, get in shape, C school, get in better shape, then go to buds. Well, what I didn't know is, about halfway through that C school, myself and another guy asked to hey, can we take the screening test? And this was at Dam Neck. And can we take the screening test to go to buds? And they're like, oh, hold on, let's go. We're check it out. And they went and asked some people, and they're like, yeah, you can't because you took these orders.
Yes.
You have 24 months of obligated service
months.
to this ship in Yokosuka, Japan. I was like, oh, that's.
I've noticed the only time they use months is with sea time, with babies or prison. 24 months it's 2 solid years.
Yes.
Wow.
And
now there were 2 different. Now I remember there was GMG, Gunners Make Guns, and
yeah,
Gunners
I was
Make,
a GMM, Gunners Make Missiles.
Okay, right.
Yeah. So I worked on the vertical launching system. It was a missile launcher system for Tomahawk missiles.
Cool.
And so it was cool. It was
That's pretty cool.
it was. I learned some stuff. I learned how to be a real Navy sailor.
Mm-hmm.
Then when my time was up, because I went to that school, I called my detailer to tell him I wanted to go to buds. And he was like, sorry, bro, you're not going to buds because you're too critical because of that school that you went to.
Because you went to the sea school.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And which was almost a kiss of death. And then we got word.
You're almost promoting yourself out of a job.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, my ability to do anything else. And so, but I went and got, I passed the screening test. I did all these other things. I actually failed the screening test the second time I took it.
Which part you fail?
The run. I failed it. So I took it with a bunch of other. I was the only guy taking it to be a SEAL. Everyone else was either diver or EOD.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
It's the exact same screening test.
Yes.
The requirements are different.
Yes.
So
the times are different.
Times
Yeah.
are different.
Mm-hmm.
So and I beat everyone in push-ups, pull-ups, sit-ups, the swim, and the run. I was the first one across
However, not fast enough.
And and we run in boots and long pants, and they run in shorts and tennis shoes. And I'm the first guy across the finish line, and what it was, I guess, complacency is the thing that killed me on that one. I'm so far ahead, I'm good to go over here.
Keep running as hard as you can.
And I crossed the finish line and I failed it by 16 seconds. I was like, are you kidding me?
That's enough though.
So
the standards are there for a
right.
reason, right?
And so it was 100% my fault. I could have passed it. And so I had to go back and take it again the second time or the third time.
What was the time between that test and the next one? Because you got 24 months.
It was like,
I would say a toddler time.
Well, I started at 9 months out.
Okay.
Because that's when you call your detailer and.
So, but I mean, no, between the test you failed and the test you passed.
It was like maybe a month.
Okay, that's.
It was just because you have to go find either the divers or EOD to give you the screening test, and it's on their schedule.
Yeah.
So it's
and they're on shore duty, so
they don't care.
They don't give up.
They do not care about you.
Speaking of gunners mates and the ships, did you see that post on Instagram by the Navy a few weeks ago?
No.
They had the CEO of a ship. He was in his khakis. You could tell because he's wearing the little CEO star.
I did see this, yes.
And the goddamn scopes. We're both snipers because I know because you went through not only the last hard buds class, the last hard sniper course.
Yep.
But the
except for the ones that I taught.
Everything right. Well, obviously, yeah. But the optics were on backwards. His form was all bad. Someone's holding him up and he's shooting full auto, and everyone on Instagram noticed. And all the Navy did was delete it. All they got to say is, "Look, we fucked up.
My bad."
Boy, they get crushed all the time. Did you see? Yeah. Whose fault was that? Gunner's mate. The photographer. The CEO should know better.
If the CEO should not know how to.
But who's the dude holding to you? Your scope is backwards, bro.
Right. Everything is smaller looking through the scope. This is so weird.
Well, I think the problem is
you don't have scope shadow when you look through it backwards.
Or if you're looking at the ocean, that's a huge target. Like everything's.
Can you hit the water?
Yeah. Anyway, so you take the test the second time, a month later, and then you do well.
And then I pass it. Okay. And then I submit my package up the chain of command. My CO is in everyone in my chain of command is supportive except the detailer.
Well, because the detailer's got bills to fill.
He's a flesh peddler. He's looking to put bodies, butts, and seats. That's his whole thing. And me trying to leave. And, I told him, I'm like, hey, my time in the Navy is almost up. I joined the Navy for this reason.
Yeah, right.
And he said, sorry, you can get out if you want.
I'm going to have to then.
And so he called my bluff. And so, I got word that the CNO, Admiral Borda at the time,
I remember him,
was coming to our ship in Yokosuka, Japan. He didn't go to any other ship.
Okay.
He came to the ship, and people were like, hey, you should ask him if he will let you go to the
I remember you telling me this.
And I was like, okay, like what do I have to lose? I'm like,
getting
all
out.
you can do is say no, and then I'm
Yeah.
just have to go to the next level.
Okay, I remember this.
And so I ask him, like, I'm the second person he calls. So he comes on the ship. He like gives his vision of like the Navy and what we're doing in the Pacific and all this other stuff. And he's like, okay, does anyone have any questions? And I raised my hand.
Yes.
And I'm the second person he called, and he was like, I said, yes, sir, I joined the Navy to become a Navy SEAL. I think I deserve a chance to go, but my detailer won't let me go. He says I'm too critical to the Navy. What do you think? He turns to my commanding officer.
Can you explain? so you and I both know what the CNO is. Can you explain who that is, by the way?
Chief of Naval Operations. So the CNO is the most senior guy in the Navy.
In the Navy.
The only people more senior to him is the Secretary of Defense and the President of the United States.
Yeah, and then you get the Joint Chiefs. But well, he's on the Joint Chiefs. The CNO's on the. Okay, good. I'm sorry. As I was, shipmate.
So he's.
What did he say?
He said. Well, then he turns to my commanding. He didn't answer me directly. He turns to my commanding officer and he says, "Is he a good guy?"
Fair.
And my commanding officer says, "Yeah, he's a sailor of the quarter this quarter, which is like employee of the month."
Yeah, of course.
And he turns back to me. He's like, "Check, you'll be in the first class after your PRD, which was 6 weeks later."
I'll tell you what.
After that, this was before the internet, before Al Gore invented the internet.
Oh yeah.
and so he turns back to me. He's like, "Check, you'll be in the first class after your PRD." Then he did the rest of CNO's call. Then the Master Chief Petty Officer of the Navy came down.
Yeah.
And he took my name and social. He found me.
The McPon, dude.
He came down.
Yeah,
he was like,
he's got the biggest balls in the Navy right
and
there.
he was like, "Okay, I tried it. It wasn't for me. So the easy part's done." I was like, "Oh, so apparently the MacPon back in the day went to Buds and didn't make it.
Fair enough.
It's not for everyone." And so 6 weeks later, I'm off to California to start.
Awesome.
Yeah.
The McPon admitted it though. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
In my time in the Navy, I was only in for 17 years. I ran into one dude who admitted he quit. One guy.
Yeah.
Everyone else, the instructor hated him.
I'm trying to think if I have met anyone.
I ran into a dude on the USS Austin. I was an E4, and I had my trident on my canvas. I'm meeting the galley, and he said, "Can I sit with you?" I'm like, "Yeah." And he goes, I went to Buzz, and I'm like, "You didn't make it. What happened?" He goes, "I quit." And I go, "You quit?"
Good for you.
Shit. I said, "Why?" And he's eating like his rice and gravy. And he goes, "I lost my huya." I'm like, "Fuck yeah, you did."
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's
though.
awesome. Yeah.
So sorry. So now you're going to California, San Diego.
Yep.
And you check into 206 or 205.
205.
Now 205. Okay. I remember.
I checked in with Chad Cosby.
Yeah. No shit.
Yeah.
And I remember 205 and 206 because those were hammer classes.
Oh yeah. 206 was way
206
more.
graduated 7 originals.
Yeah.
11 total. I remember that.
I loved that class.
So tell me about 205.
205, I wasn't in it for very long because I broke my ankle in I forgot what those 2 weeks are called before you actually start.
PTR?
It was in PTR, but there was like 2 weeks of like pre-buds prior to starting first phase.
I don't remember.
Yeah,
but there's 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's like 2 weeks where they teaching you like those the skills for that you actually need.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like on some hammer session where I running over the sand dunes, getting wet, running back, and I rolled my ankle and I heard it pop. So made it through the first week. Going into I tried to go out and run the O course over the weekend and get better. And things aren't quite working.
Yeah.
And so I went to medical, and I'm like, I don't know what's wrong, but I just don't have any power when I'm jumping. And I remember she was a EOD PA doc.
Cool.
In medical, and she was like, well, you probably just need to suck it up.
Wow.
But I'm going to send you off for X-rays anyway.
You probably need to suck it up.
Yeah. So
that's funny.
This is the medical staff telling me that.
Well, I mean, she was EOD, right?
Right.
Well, I mean, in our defense, the EOD joke is, the hardest part of EOD school, Sunday Night of Hell Week.
That's a fact.
Thank you.
That was awesome.
Thank you. So she said, "Suck it up," and then
she sent me off for.
And
X-rays.
you probably had to do the Bud Shuffle. You couldn't get it right.
They gave me a ride.
That's very nice, very kind.
And so it came back. I had like an inch size bone broken off from the bottom of my whatever that outside tibia fibula.
Oh wow.
And it's still not connected anymore. But she was like, I came back and she looked at my X-rays and she was like, "I'm sorry, but I was wrong.
Yeah,
your ankle is actually broken." I'm like, I saw my X-rays.
I told you, ma'am.
I didn't, whatever. But yeah. And so that rolled me into 206. 206 was awesome.
They seemed like it. I remember a few guys. Sean Brennan was in 206.
Yeah.
I remember him, and I've brought this up in my podcast. He tried to beat me up my first day. So I showed up in 208, a white shirt. I have no idea what I'm doing. All of a sudden, this brown shirt comes up with just Sean Brennan, and he's got heavy hands. I can tell. I don't want to fight this guy. He pulled, didn't beat me up. I love the guy to death, but Yeah, that was my 206. Why?
Because it was such a hard class. It was like just hammer. And I remember, and when I speak on stage, I talk about these guys that are just like, you look at them and you're like you're gonna make it. You're a fucking Navy SEAL.
Yeah,
you just haven't gone through the process yet. And most of those guys quit. They were faster runners. They were better swimmers. They would run around the oak course. They're better looking. They were natural leaders. I'm like, you're like charismatic. I'm like, you're fucking badass. You're awesome.
Yeah.
And I'm just like mediocre little me over here, just trying to barely survive. But every time we had to like drop down to do push-ups, every time the reason 206 was such a hammer class is because the proctor of 205 was so tired of all the instructors saying your class sucks. You suck.
The proctor is.
So the proctor is the guy who's in charge of
the instructor.
He's the instructor that's kind of in charge of making sure the class has the information they need, all the whatever, and like it's their baby.
Yeah.
And
So but the other instructors are team guys.
Yeah.
And
everyone's a team guy.
But they're fucking with the proctor.
Yes.
Because this class is easy because you're a fucking idiot.
Yes.
Type shit.
And so
I'm trying to tell everyone what the proctor does.
Yeah.
So 205's proctor is easier than 206.
So 205's proctor. So 206's actual proctor was a very nice guy. I forgot his name. But the proctor from 205, that was his first class to proctor, and he was just pissed off. And so he's like, I'm going to take it out on
this
206.
Class. Okay, yeah.
And so it was awesome. I loved it. and I have no idea to this day what was wrong with me, what happened to me in 206. It was the first run that I kept up on.
Yep.
I learned how to run on soft sand in buds on crutches when I had my broken ankle. I learned how to the right way to
There's a technique.
There's a very
people don't realize that there's a
very
technique.
Specific technique. If you try to run like you run on regular
not gonna
asphalt,
work.
you're gonna it's just like you lose like 60% of your energy through the sand. And so I learned how to run on soft sand in
206
on crutches. I applied that to actual running. Got to 206. The first run that I didn't get shoved into Goon Squad. I'm sitting there on the beach, stretching out, whatever, and then they're like, okay, go hit the surf. And I stand up and I fall down.
Mm-hmm.
I have no idea. Something with my left knee just stopped working. No idea. And so I went to medical, and they're like, we don't know what's wrong with you. You just probably suck it up again. I don't know.
Just suck it up.
So they're just going to roll me to the next class. And so I go before the board, and it was Stu. I don't know if you remember Stu Elliott.
I do.
So I still hate Stu to this day.
I wasn't going to say anything.
I later worked for him when he was the CEO of SEAL Team 4.
Yeah, I was there too. I remember he had a funny way to run. He looked like he was he was trying to backslap someone who was stealing groceries.
Yeah, something. And so he was like, he came in and he was like, probably the same attitude I've had, honestly, on this side of it.
Yeah.
He's like, well, you clearly didn't prepare yourself well enough, so we're going to roll you out. And I'm like, holy shit, I can't leave. And so I went to the next guy, who was the director of training, and I don't remember his name because whatever, but I'm in there, I'm crying, I'm snot bubbles, the whole thing.
This is your life though. You got to figure.
Yeah.
They boot you. This is a lifelong dream here. This is a lot of adrenaline,
and
a lot of stress, a lot of anxiety.
Yeah, and then also, and so I tell the director of training, I'm like, if I leave, I may not get a chance to come back because it was Admiral Borda who got me here, and by the way, he just took his own
killed
life.
himself.
Yeah.
Allegedly shot himself in the chest with a shotgun, which I'm not buying.
Something weird like that. Was Hillary around back then?
Yeah.
Who said that?
He said something bad about the Clintons because they're looking for a second term. Oh, anyway, yeah.
That went sideways.
No,
really
that was awesome.
so anyway.
Yeah, so he killed himself because he's not a Democrat.
So he tells me to go stand outside. So I stand outside on my crutches, and I see 206 come in, and they're just wet and sandy and gross, and they look absolutely miserable. And I'm like, all I want to do is be with those dudes right now.
Oh yeah,
I just want to go back and be with them.
Misery Love Company. That's a good class, man.
And it was, which is what I should have done. It just sucked it up and gone.
No.
So, well, here's the deal. So when I went into 207,
yes,
and I didn't heal up. I was still broken. I still couldn't run. I couldn't anything.
207 was a funny class.
It was a fun class.
There's some characters in there.
I'll tell you some other stories about 207 also.
Fire away. We're not recording.
Guys from 206 to 207. So 207, I was paranoid all the way through 207 because I remember 206 and I'm like, ooh, we fucked that up. We're about to, we would not fuck anything up and we would just be pushing them out and in the surf zone and just get hammered.
They were going easy on that.
And then and then 207, I'm like, we fucked that up. And I'm just like, it's coming. And nothing ever.
Really?
Yes.
Maybe that's why they were funny.
It was, but there was some characters in there. But
was that because they were too hard on 205, 206, and the head chef was like, hey, man, you got to.
Maybe.
Because I know they always want more Navy SEAls. They've always wanted more Navy SEAls, but they can't figure out why.
We had a lot of black guys in 205.
205.
205 and 206, yeah.
Okay, good.
They rolled from 205 to 206.
Yeah.
Chris Smith was one guy.
What people don't realize, too, is because they say there's not a lot of black Navy SEALs. Every percentage is the same.
Right.
You just get fewer black guys to try out, fewer Asian guys to try out.
Yeah.
A bunch of white guys, 85% aren't going to make it.
Right.
Yeah. It is what it is.
Yeah, I think we had 6 or 7 guys in 205, 206, and one guy was a big dude. He played for Tennessee, then he went out for the Raiders. He got picked up by the Raiders. I forgot the guy's name, but he couldn't do drown proofing. He couldn't float because he was so dense.
That happens. Drown proofing sucks. There was a dude we had. Might have been the Captain Phillips rescue. One of our dudes from 6 was a black dude, and we're on a ship, and a sailor came up to him, black dude, and he goes, "Hey, how we doing, dog?" And he goes, "We're gonna be doing a lot better as long as we stop calling each other dog right now. It's Chief." Roger that, Chief. I'm like, Roger that, Chief.
No, that was awesome.
Shit. Still in the Navy, bro.
Yeah. Chain of command, ranks, all that good stuff.
So 207. So you get in that, they're not getting hammered as much, and then you went through Hell Week with 207.
I went through Hell Week with 207, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then pool comp.
So I healed up in 207.
Or did you go through pool comp with us?
I did 208, yeah.
Okay, shit.
So I rolled out of I had to pass 1 4-mile time run in 207.
Okay.
To make it to Hell Week. And I remember waking up that morning
and
I'm like,
horrifying.
Yeah.
Like you're getting your ass handed to you already.
Yes.
You're not even
like,
Hell Week yet.
No. And I'm like, so I remember waking up one morning and I was like, I don't know what happened in my brain, but this brain body, like you can overcome pretty much anything, is I was like, I just woke up that morning and I'm like, I'm going to fucking crush this run.
Good.
And I'm still
I got to make
up.
this 1 4-mile time run, and then they let me try Hell Week.
Then I can go to Hell Week, yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah, and the run was after lunch, and so I stayed back. So the schedule, we had a bunch of pool stuff, or maybe a swim in the morning. I don't remember, but I remember staying back from lunch. They brought me a box lunch, and I got the boats ready because you had to lead people back to get the boats ready for surf passes and stuff for afternoon. So I stayed back and did that. Ate a quick bite for after lunch, box lunch, and then I went out and I passed the run by a couple minutes.
Good.
And then I was like,
congratulations,
fucking made it.
You get to stay.
I basically graduated buds at this point. I was probably more happy passing that run than I was graduating Hell Week.
So then you do Hell Week with 207.
So I did Hell Week with 207.
Were you boat crew 1 or 2?
3.
Now the way explain how the boat crews work.
So boat crews we work as a 7-man team, and we carry this fucking boat around on our head the whole time. Actually,
fuck that boat.
Yeah. We were a spring class.
Okay.
And
it's still cold. Still cold this spring.
Yeah. And I saw one boat crew winning all the races from Sunday night into Monday night, and that was boat crew 3, and I was in boat crew 4 at the time.
No shit.
And I was like, why? I want to be in that boat crew because the guys that I'm in a boat crew with, they're quitting. They don't want to put out. They don't want to whatever. And so I'm like, I want to be in boat crew 3. And so Monday late before dinner, Monday afternoon, we were just finishing up the O course. And they're like,
Monday Hell Week.
Monday of Hell Week.
Now, so people who don't know, Hell Week starts on Sunday.
Sunday
and
night.
then we do this fun shit till Friday.
All the way till Friday.
And even they say you get 4 hours of sleep this week.
That's not.
All right, it's like saying I
feel like
a nap.
Yeah.
So
not so much.
Sunday night, then so Monday night you're boat crew 4 and 3's winning them all.
Yeah.
And in my experience too, I don't want to talk over you. The dudes with the longest legs win the races.
Yes.
And if you ever
I'll get to that in a second.
If you ever run into a short Navy SEAL, don't fight him. He's tough. He was in the Smurf crew.
Yes, he was.
Anyway, sorry.
Yeah. Their boat crews are set up by height lines. So I was like, okay. So I was lollygagging, killing time, waiting for kind of milling around, looking busy.
Milling about smartly.
Yes. And waiting for guys to line up. And I was like, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's boat crew 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, boat 2. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'll be number 5, boat crew 3. And if I'm not tall enough, I'm going to pile some sand under my feet to make sure that I'm at least as tall as everyone else. I don't care who's 5, 6, and 7. And when I got in that boat crew, because I wanted to see who's in here.
Yes.
Who are the studs in this boat crew? There was no one that was a superstar. Everybody was just regular. And from that time, we won every race.
Yes.
We won. It didn't matter if we were just like going to chow. If we started in the back and the boat crew in front of us gave an inch, we passed them. But so no matter what, we always ended up in the front. And I learned a lot about myself.
That's what I was going to ask you. Please.
I learned a lot about myself in there because there were times where I just didn't feel like I'm like feeling sorry for myself. My stomach hurts, my legs hurt. I don't feel like keeping up. But I'm not going to let these 6 other guys that I'm with around, I'm not letting them down. So they brought me up to their level.
Yes.
And I'm sure every one of those guys felt the same way at some point. We never talked about it. We just won. We just wanted to win.
Explain what it's like being in a boat crew in Hell Week, because your head's under the boat. You got 7 dudes.
Yeah.
Because I know what you're getting at too. It's not because we had a stud. It's because we all did our part.
We just worked together.
Yeah.
Yeah. We just and that's really it. Is and that's kind of in it, and it transfers into the things that I do now. When I retired from the military, I felt like I lost my mission and my purpose and my team, and I had a pretty badass mission, purpose, and team. And then I'm like, what the hell do I do? I need to go find people like that that are going to. Yeah. And bring me up to whatever level I need to go to.
Right.
And I'm still, which is one of the reasons that I'm friends with you, because I want
seriously. But what I love about
we raise one another, we support one another, and we don't judge.
What I learned in my Hell Week was Ensign Smith, whose dad was Admiral Smith.
Yes.
And it was funny because our first day of 208, one of the instructors got up and goes, anyone here related to a SEAL? And Ensign Smith, she goes, well, sir, we fucking know.
We already
his
know.
dad's
Shut
Admiral
up.
Smith.
Yes.
But he said before Hell Week, what my dad told me is we're going to be together. We're going to have down times. We're going to have up times. When you're down, tell someone.
Yeah.
Because maybe they're up. And when you're up, tell someone because maybe they're down. But that's the whole thing, because it's not. No, I had Dave Rutherford in mind. So
oh, my God.
I credit him for. I got
He's
through because
awesome.
of
Yes.
But I mean, seriously, though, there were no standout studs, but everyone had their. Because one of the big complaints I noticed was your head's not under the boat.
Yes.
But if you're not yelling that shit at each other, just get your head under the boat.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
We never happened in Boat Crew 3.
That's very cool.
Never happened, not one time. Matter of fact, I was injured going through Hell Week.
Well, yeah.
And they would oftentimes put me in the back, and I would just I would push, and but I would still get under the boat, and because
a lot of
so
that's a coxswain, and that's usually the officer, and he won't put his head under the boat, but you get a good enlisted because you were in E5.
I was.
I
and
remember
I had
that.
another E5. No, I was in E4.
E4, okay.
And I had an E5 as a boat crew leader.
Okay.
Who went through Buds twice and still didn't make it. He got kicked off the island twice.
Kicked off the island twice?
So the first time I probably could have saved him, but it was a case of misidentity. So we had a bunch of Singaporeans in our class.
Yeah.
And they were cheating on the O course all the time. And we had a new Master Chief roll into third phase. And he thought it was this one kid.
Uh-huh.
I'm confident it wasn't. Like I saw that guy fucking put out so many times.
Yeah, we had 4 Singaporeans, Shuri, Tan. And,
yeah.
The only time
it was yes.
The only time I saw them put out was when I brought them to Tijuana for the weekend.
Yes. So anyway, it was Newcomer. I don't know if you remember Newcomer.
I remember. Oh shit! Yeah, he had the neck tattoo.
Yes. Yeah.
He didn't. That's right, because he was in 208 for a while.
He was.
He got
kicked off the island.
I think that for some reason the instructors hated it. Was there a reason?
It was just one Master Chief that came in. I don't think so. But But anyway, I was on another podcast and he found me.
Newcomer did.
Wow. And I was like, hey, did you ever make it through? Because I went back.
I want to know what he's up to.
I went back to do some desert stuff out at the island, and he was back in Buds. Or not on the island, but out in.
So he's back at Buds.
Out in Island. He was back at Buds as a student. I'm like, fuck yeah, let's fucking go.
Was he 40 at this point?
Yeah, right? Well, it turns out he didn't make it the second. Actually, that was his third time.
Yeah.
But
he went through Hell Week twice.
He went through Hell Week twice. He's like, no, fuck that. I'm going through Hell Week again. And
he was hardcore.
Because he didn't have to. And so eventually he's like, clearly I'm not going to become a SEAL. So he went and became a Green Beret.
Get out of here. Did you really?
Yeah.
Holy shit. That's incredible.
Yeah. And then he ran into someone, and he was in Boat Crew 3. So here's the other thing about that boat crew. Remember second phase when they said, get the boats and we're going out to the demo pits?
Oh, yeah.
So there were 5 of the 7 guys from Boat Crew 3 that rolled into 208.
Yeah.
And eventually we found one another. Like we were all kind of separated.
That is so.
And then we started winning the races again.
Brilliant. Yes, I do remember that.
Like it wasn't like we didn't plan it.
Well, they would fuck with us too. So you rolled into 208, my class.
I've rolled in after Hell Week.
After Hell Week, and then we did. What's that? The one that no one hears about, pool comp.
Pool comp.
Can you explain now? When people say what was the hardest part of Buds,
I'll do Hell Week twice before
I would do
pool comp again.
Fuck pool comp. Can you explain? I've explained it before. Tell me what pool comp is.
Pool comp is like underwater jujitsu that you don't get to fight back. When you're on a breath hold and and I have micro lungs.
Yes.
And so you have to do everything perfect.
But there's no instruction, though. You're going to go this way and this way, and we're going to simulate a surf hit.
And we're going to attack you relentlessly.
Go ahead, sorry.
And tie your hoses in knots. And because you have these Jacques Cousteau style double hose
Nobody
regulator.
uses those anymore.
No one does. No
We
one
do.
does. Yeah. I don't think they have, like, I think they're running out of parts for them.
We went to a dive shop in San Diego, I think after Buds, and we were explaining to the instructor with those pool comps. He's like, yeah, we do similar shit. I'm like, well, what do you guys do with the singles when they tie them in knots? He's like, in knots? Who the fuck does that? I'm like, right, dude.
We do.
Yeah. So pool comp we passed in 208.
Actually, technically I didn't really finish pool comp because I kept untying the whammy knot. So I got
explain that to everybody.
Okay, so the whammy knot is a knot that you can't untie underwater. They take your hoses.
Allegedly.
They can't. They tie them in such a way that you can't untie them. They have to get like specialists to come out and like untie them. And so someone gave me the heads up, like when you're doing pool comp, if there's a bubble, there's air.
Yes.
So I would work those hoses until I saw a bubble, and I would just suck on it as hard as I could.
Yep.
And then get some breath. And then go back to work.
Yeah. Well, because
I untied 3 whammy knots. So finally they're like, okay.
Because you don't want to fail so bad because it's chest, waist, this, whatever.
Oh, my God.
Turn the air, grab this, breathe. And then you got to do the.
Because I failed it the first time.
I failed the first 2.
Oh.
And then, so Monday's like, the whammy knot, it's like, I'm not going up.
Never.
Oh, fucking whammy knot.
No.
But yeah, people don't understand. Like, they're drowning you. And when you get done with all this, so this hour you're into it, don't forget to kiss the deck and exhale.
Oh, yeah. And then blow all the air out.
Freestanding
and then they're punching you in the stomach on the way up. Yes.
And then what do you say at the top? I feel fine.
I feel fine.
Why? Arterial gas symbol, AGE. It will come out as an M or some shit. That's what they told me.
Right.
My meal,
You can't say your F's, I think.
Something. I feel fine, yeah.
I'm a dive soup. I should know that.
I'm a dive soup. Well, you should be a dive soup because we're going to get into STV in a second. Yeah, but I do remember there being at the pool. I passed on Monday, and everyone's got their single hose, and then we're getting into diving and then the dragger and all that shit.
Yeah.
And then we went to the island, which I thought the island sucked.
It was terrible. It was terrible.
Because
People
they
were
made
like,
it,
oh, you're going to have so much fun out there. No, it fucking sucks.
It's 40 days. No one can hear you scream, and I'm convinced that instructors they're hitting the sauce.
Oh, for sure.
But then every meal you have to do 10 pull-ups with your gear.
Yeah.
I wasn't a big pull-up guy.
I got better.
Well, I did there.
And then run up Frog Hill.
That was fun. That was kind of cool.
I learned more about myself running up Frog Hill. Like, oh, you always have more in the tank than you think you do.
Mm-hmm.
And I was always terrified of failing.
Good.
Fucking terrified.
Yes.
And so I'm not a fast runner, but I would fucking be one of the first ones to
was
stop.
good.
I'm like, fuck you guys. I'm not eating wet and sandy.
Oh, because that's what they'll do. The wet and sandy every hour on the hour too just sucked.
Oh my God.
But you know what I loved about the island though?
We may or may not have gotten busted one time and had to do that.
That happens. I remember when we did a 5K on the island. The first time we ran in shoes. It was sprint on pavement running a 5K.
I don't remember that.
Yes, but it was the last run because we were running in boots the entire time. I was 208 the whole time, but they at the end they let us run. I remember I finished a 5K in 15:15 and I finished 3rd because Miner beat me and Lamb beat me. Sprinting. These are like world-class times they're running.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Ridiculous. Yeah.
And my math is right. Check me. So anyway, so you call me a liar. That's never happened. So
was that when we did the PRT?
Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. I think I did it in 17, like 17:30 or something. I was like, dude, that's smoking time.
Fast as fuck. So we finished that STT. So you got orders to SDV too.
Yes. And when they called those orders out, I was devastated.
Okay. I want you to explain what SDV is, and I'm going to tell you my story when I got picked. So explain what a dream sheet is and then where you're going.
So the dream sheet, I forgot about that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, so you write down the top 3 commands that you want to go to.
And at the time there was 135, 248, SDV 1, SDV 2.
Yeah, and I wrote down I wanted to do jungle warfare because Vietnam, whatever kind of.
Enough.
So I was like 4, 2, and 8 on my sheet.
Really?
Yeah.
Because nobody wanted SDV.
No one.
And they were selling it at the time because they're like, you'll get free fall. But you'll also.
Oh, yeah. I remember that. Yeah.
So what do they. Because when we were in there, they were reading shit off. I put 2, 8, and 4. And I'll never forget when the instructor said, O'Neill, SDV Sorry, SEAL Team 2. That enough right there was for holy shit. Okay, good.
I'm good. Yeah.
What did they say because
Branum SCV2? I was like,
No
you
hesitation.
said that wrong. You meant SEAL Team 2?
Yeah, SEAL Team 2, SEAL Team 8.
You mean 4? What?
So you get that, and explain why SDV is not fun.
Well, because number one, you don't do all the same SEAL training that the other SEAL teams do. Close quarter combat, things like that. We work in smaller units, which is cool. But we have this mini submarine. And it's your own scuba the whole time, which is maybe another reason why I don't particularly like the water that much.
Mm-hmm.
And you have a pilot and a navigator, both SEALs in the front, and then you can put up to 4 guys in the back with rucksacks full of equipment. And they close the door. And it's like a coffin. You're sitting in a coffin, a large coffin, and there's no room to move. And I've been in there, and I've had my regulator ripped out of my mouth because the guy that was sitting in my lap did whatever. So you're wearing maybe if you're wearing you're doing maybe going to go do a combat swimmer mission. You're going to wear your clothes, your dragger on your front. You're going to wear a pony bottle on your back to in case you have to bail out of the SDV in case it You have another regulator from inside the boat. You're breathing compressed boat air. You can't communicate with one another. You can only communicate via squeeze signals and then communicate from the front to the back of the boat.
It's completely dark and you're underwater.
It's the
you're not
darkest
in
of dark.
You're not in a submarine. You're in water. It's not heated, and you're just explain more because I don't think people fully. I have never been in an SDV, and I love hearing these stories.
So I had an old boss who was really good at explaining it, and he said something like, "So think about you put on all of your winter clothing all at one time, and then you put a big backpack on your back, and then you maybe put something on your front also, and then you get in a smart car and you smash the roof down and you take the seats out. You smash the roof down, and so you're sitting in there side by side with someone in your lap, and you fill it with ice and water." And then you are breathing off of a regulator. It's kind of like that for the next 4 or 6 hours.
Yeah, I've heard stories of that, and you're not moving. So even at least when you scuba dive in or do a combat dive in cold water, at least you're moving.
Right.
You're not moving.
You're just sitting there shivering, or whatever.
Now, were you the you do the navigator, or you do the what was?
I didn't want to be in the front of the boat. I wanted to be in the back of the boat because in the back of the boat we were more reconnaissance. So
yes.
that was my ticket to sniper school.
Yeah, but my question is, and I've asked this question before, even when I was in the teams. Why do we need to do that? We can just simulate, hey, this sucked for 6 hours.
Yeah.
Why do they need? I mean, I understand a couple. Well, dry run is not the right word, but a couple runs. But you're making dudes sit back there, crank necks. I mean, maybe to get the experience of once you leave and go over the beach. I mean,
right.
So what's that? Okay.
Well, I think one of the reasons to do that is why do we train? Why do we do hard things? Why do we?
Fair. That's fair.
So why do we do 4-hour combat swimmer missions? They suck.
Yes, they suck.
It sucks. 6 hours, maybe you're turtlebacking for an hour.
We always manage to do that too.
Yeah, and so, but if you have to, and
fair enough.
If you make training harder than
I agree.
Combat.
I agree. Okay. I just got called out, and I agree. That's true. Well, I mean, I remember on some of the missions we were on, we were inserting and then fast roping and fast roping. It's like, dude, can we just assume we fast rope?
Right.
Like I could freeze my balls off. But I guess so can you explain, say you're doing a long range reconnaissance sniper mission out of an SDV over the horizon, over the beach.
Yep.
So what does that entail? So let's say you got all your shit, you're in the SDV. Now you're going to get out. What's the process of you're leaving the compressed air here, getting on whatever you're diving, and then what goes from here to the X?
So if we went from, let's say we're going to go do a mission somewhere in the world. And let's just say that mission had to be approved by the President of the United States.
Yeah, that goes up that high. SDV doesn't get credit. They did a lot of really. I'll let you talk about it.
They do some very strategic missions that they have to be approved by that level because of just to give you an idea of where we might go. If you look at a globe, and you have some brown stuff on the globe, that's dirt.
Yep.
And then there's some blue stuff on the globe, that's water.
Right.
Where that blue and brown meet, anywhere on that globe, that's where the SDV can go.
Yes.
And we take a big nuclear-powered submarine to get there. And so we have this garage that sits on the back of the nuclear-powered submarine. Depending on the size of it, sometimes we have 2, and we could put 2 SDVs in there, 1 in each. And then we get where we're going. We fill that garage up with water. We pull the SDV out. We get in. We go drive however far we need to drive from where the ocean is deep enough to
Right,
where
yeah.
it's shallow enough that we can get out and we can swim across the beach. So we'll pull in. A lot of times we'll bottom the SCV out in like
How deep?
15, 20 feet of water.
Okay.
We will get out. We will pull our rucksacks out, and there's weights and lines on the side of the boat and all this other stuff. And then we're still on either probably some sort of, we could be on a dregger. Depends where we are.
Yeah.
If it's open ocean, we'll probably just do open circuit because no one can really see those.
Right,
the
at that
bubbles.
point. Yeah. Mhm.
And then what we used to do is we would leave the STV on the bottom, and then we would it was a shit show getting the rucksacks up and then back down and whatever. So what we've decided was that I've been at the Cyclops there in Little Creek.
Yes.
STV's in the water right there. All you can see is the strong back, how we lift the STV. Like I couldn't even see it. It's right there.
Yeah, it's hidden. Mm-hmm.
And so what we decided is, so what we'll do is we'll have the rucksacks clipped on the outside of the boat, some 1-inch tubular. And as the boat breaks the water, as your head breaks the water, you unclip your rucksack, and then everyone's unclipped, and then the STV just sinks back and sits on the bottom. And then we get across the beach, and then we go do our thing for
however long,
a few hours for up to 5 days.
Can you explain though the process? So that's a lot of shit going on.
That's
But
just getting there.
Yeah, but now, so you're in a wetsuit or a dry suit, for a suit.
Yes. Wetsuit or dry suit. depending
Explain
on
the
mission.
process of now you go over the beach. You don't want to operate in a dry suit.
No.
So I don't want to get too much into tactics.
Yeah.
But that's a process.
Oh, it's a
getting
huge
there,
process, huge
and you
pain
got
in the
to
ass.
change in your shit.
And you got to plan that. You got to practice that. That's
where the practice comes in.
You get across the beach, and sometimes we would just do no STV. We're just going to go to a reconnaissance mission,
Mm-hmm.
like somewhere on wherever. And so we would start out in the ocean in our wetsuit, swim across the beach, go into the hinterland, find a place to change up, and it's 4 dudes.
Yep.
And so you do 50-50 security where you got, 2 guys are holding security while 2 guys are just getting naked and putting their clothes back on.
Literally
and,
getting naked too.
Yeah.
That was the key to it, by the way.
Yeah.
We'll get in and get naked, but that's the fucking key to the naked warrior. I'm serious. I love that shit.
And I remember one time we were doing this at Fort Story, and I tell my youngest daughter this story a lot of times. We're sitting there, I'm changing clothes, and I hear something it was a full moon. It was super bright out, and I hear some rustling in the leaves, and I look down, and there's these 3 little baby foxes. They were cute as fuck. I wanted to pick one up and put it in my backpack, and but then I was like, "Where's Mama Fox? She's around here somewhere."
That's the issue. Yeah.
No one here wants to get bit by Mama Fox.
Yeah, these bear cubs sure are cute.
Yeah, they sure are until Mama comes along. And so we would practice getting out of your wetsuit and not getting, because you got to put that thing on in 3 or 5 days, or dry suit or whatever it is, and you have to store it, and that's extra shit that you have to carry on the op, plus radios and batteries and water and food and fucking everything else, guns, bullets. Go do your thing, cameras, come back, change out, change back into sometimes your wetsuit. And we would do this in the wintertime a lot of times.
That's cold.
And so I learned to old brown polypro that they issued us.
I do.
So I would put that on and then put my wetsuit on over it. And then getting back in the water and finding the SDV.
Got to find that thing.
Find the SDV. Hopefully it's there. And you're out there looking for the thing, and you have these metal sticks that you clip together, and hopefully they come up, or we had this little tracker thing, and that thing never worked.
Never.
And so, but that was one of the hardest pieces. So you've done your mission, but you're still only halfway done because you still got to get home. You got to find the SDV.
Find the SDV. Get it.
They got to find you. Sometimes they would pop up oh, where the fuck that thing come from? All right, check. All right, so we swim over to it, or they might see us on sonar, and they would drive over to us and pick us up.
That's nice. I'm scared the shit out of
me. What the?
But then you got to go link up again too. You got to get out to the other place.
And then you get back in the SDV and stay there for another 3-4 hours. Going back to the submarine, and then the SDV finding the submarine, and there's a bunch of planning that takes place on the backside of that.
Yeah, of course.
And I'll tell you some other stories offline. But
yeah, I mean that's great for the listeners here. Think about how much it sucks when you get out of the shower and you can't find your towel. Now. Multiply that by days, but at least you're getting shot at. Yeah. So SDV though, I remember we had dudes check in to SEAL Team 6 from SDV with a silver star.
Yeah.
It's where'd you get that?
Legion of Merit.
Legion of Merit as well. Higher. Yeah. And again, I mean the mission Boy, the mission's important. So cool.
Yeah.
But they're known for the snipers reconnaissance. So that's why you get sniper school. We went to sniper school in 1998, I want to say.
Yeah, I think so.
That was fun. I think I learned a lot.
I thought sniper school was almost as hard as buds.
Yeah,
was
I did
as hard
too.
as buds.
I did too. I did too.
Different on a different level.
Just learning about the camouflage, learning the Kim's games, keep in memory. What really impressed me though was how I was taught how to stalk. How it's not your camouflage, how you level it from here to there. What's behind you? You don't need to match what you're in. What's behind you? What are they looking at?
Right.
That's just I learned. And
I remember a stalk. Tell me if I'm right or not. And I think this was you.
Possibly.
I remember a stalk, and I kind of remember the field, and I still didn't know what the hell I was doing.
I didn't the entire time.
And but I remember they walked in on someone's gun. The spotters walked the walkers in on someone's gun.
Yeah.
And I feel like that was your gun.
That was me. Yeah.
Like kids, you were busy making a bowling.
No.
Bowling alley?
I had to do the no. That they did not do. No, I was on that stock. I didn't leave my gun behind. Because I got busted a couple times before. I was down to like you got to pass the next 4.
Right.
No. I remember that stock. But
I remember they like picked. It was like,
No.
I was like over here and they were over there, and they picked the gun up, and I was like, "That's a good looking gun." Like you had a good fan on the front of it.
I would own it if that was me. No, because the stocks they get down to when they're within like 1 meter, point away and point to the shooter. Because like the first few, I had no idea what I was doing.
Yeah.
I remember that gun being pulled up. I don't know who the hell that was. It wasn't me. I would admit it.
Maybe Matt Richmond or something.
It's got to be. Was he in our class?
I don't know.
No.
I was making that up.
I did 2 or 3 platoons with Richmond. Just playing Richmond.
Yeah.
Good dude. Good fucking dude. But yeah, so sniper school was awesome. And then, so we both went as new guys though.
Yeah.
And then I remember I deployed immediately to, not immediately, not like we're in a hurry. Pre 9/11.
Yeah, pre 9/11. It was
yeah,
European
immediately
vacation.
to the USS Austin. So go check out Italy.
Yeah.
Which is fun. And then so anyway, all pre 9/11 though, what was the thought process though of what are you gonna do as a Navy SEAL? You're a sniper, you're an SUV. Pre 9/11, me personally was like, there's never gonna be a war, so train like you train.
Yeah, well, it was if you were lucky, you went to Bosnia or Kosovo.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the rest of the time it was mostly just European vacation for East Coast.
Yeah.
We deployed to Rota, Spain.
Yep.
I went to France. I went to Italy. I went to Germany. I went to Spain. I went to some other places.
Spain a lot.
Yeah.
A lot of time in Spain, a lot of time in Italy, Sardinia, all that stuff. A lot of time in Germany. Where were you on 9/11?
I was teaching sniper school.
No shit.
Yeah.
Up at Atterbury.
I was teaching sniper school at Atterbury. And, Dave Johnston, who started the sniper program for NSW, was the OIC. But he was in California trying to get the course accredited so we could have an accredited course and then bring it under the schoolhouse and funding and all that other stuff.
Yes, of course.
And I'm the senior instructor. I'm not the senior guy. Mm-hmm. I'm the senior instructor. And I've probably been in the Navy like 8 years at that point. Mm-hmm. And I had guys, that had been in, 18 years, 12 years that were working for me as like student instructors. I had guys in the class that were 12, 15, 18 years in the teams. And then 9/11 happens. And I was actually with, what's the guy's name? Jeff Hill? Is that his name?
Possibly. Was he in your bud's class?
He was, no. You're thinking Jason Hill.
Jason Hill, great guy.
Jason's awesome. Jeff Hill, he was, I think he went to the aviation program over at.
Okay.
But I think he was a Team 4 guy.
I'm not sure if we have an aviation program over there.
Oh. What?
The Air Force gets mad at us.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
No idea.
But Bobby Needham went and flew jets for the Marine Corps.
I did not know that.
After, he got picked up for Seaman to Admiral.
I knew that.
He went to school. He wanted to fly jets for the Navy. Okay. He was picked. He was number 2 in flight school. And so they gave him helicopters. He's like, I don't want to fly helicopters. I want to fly jets. Hey, Marine Corps, do you want any Harrier pilots?
Wow.
And so he went over to the Marine Corps and he flew Harriers until he retired as an 04.
Wow.
So that was Bobby. But anyway, coming back to sniper school and 9/11. So I'm driving down. So we get up. We PT in the morning, heading down to the range, and students go first. They're setting up the butts and stuff. And I get in the truck with Jeff, and we're heading down. And the guy's talking about 9/11 or talking about the World Trade Center and all that other stuff. Yeah. He talked about when they tried to blow up the World Trade Center a few years earlier. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And he came back to like an airplane flew into the World Trade Center. I was like, let's go check out the thing. And so we drive back to the classroom. It's exactly the same as when we were there, and turn on the TV, and you see like the first tower on fire. We're like, what the fuck is this? And they were talking about it, and so I had the best leadership decision ever at that point. Was let's recall everyone back, so because maybe they know someone who was on that plane,
right?
Or they work in the World Trade Center. And so we brought the class in. As the class is walking back in with guns and bullets and bags and everything else, we watched the second plane fly into the second tower.
Yep.
And we're like, holy shit, what the fuck?
It?
And then we're watching everything. And now all the senior guys come to me. I'm the LPO of sniper school. I got 8 years in the fucking Navy at this point. I'm looking to them to tell me what to do, really. And they turn back and they're like, what do we do? Do we load up in vans and head up to the thing? Do we go back to Virginia Beach? What do you want us to do? I don't know. I'm like, hold on. So I go in the office. I call Group 2. I talked to Claude Branum, and who was the command master chief for Group 2. And I'm like, hey, what do you want us to do? He's like, continue training because we're going to need your skill set very soon.
That's very smart. That's an excellent call.
And so I
continue
came back
training.
And I was
we're
like,
going to need your skill. And that Claude Branum he's my master chief. I think it's SEAL Team 2. And that is excellent forethought right there. Just saying, don't get emotional here, but this is not going to be over.
Yeah.
So we need snipers. That's fucking badass.
And I was like, oh, check. So that's the direction that we went with. And this was really like there were some cell phones out there, but not a lot.
Oh.
And so I was like, okay, because I didn't know how to get a hold of Warrant Officer Johnston or anybody else. I just got a hold of Clell, and
that's a good call. Using the chain of command. That's cool.
Let's go and execute. And so that's where I was on 9/11.
So were you attached to Group 2 at that time?
I was still at SDV. So at the time, the teams provided instructors for sniper school.
Right. Okay.
And so I was still at SDV, but I was TAD to sniper school.
Okay. And then after that, are you getting a platoon? You're in E6 at the time.
I'm in E6 at the time.
And then what are they going to do with you now? So where's your next assignment?
After that, I actually went to shore duty at Group 2 as the air mobility coordinator. So any jumps that we were doing, any fast roping, rappelling, anything.
Was that around right around 02? I'm just.
That was 99. That was 90. No, 01. Yeah.
01, 02. Because I remember being. I was at.
When did you go to Green Team?
2004.
Okay.
But I remember in 01 being in air ops at Group or whatever it was.
So it was Chris Anthony was running that before.
Yeah.
Chris
But
Anthony
I remember I was packing a reserve. I was a rigger, and that was the first time in my career where someone asked me that horrible question: "Did you know?" And they said, "Did you know Neil Roberts?" And I'm like, what do you mean? What the fuck? And that's when, because we were over at the same time, and that's when it sort of hit me where, okay, we're at war now. There's some our guys are fighting guys in the mountains now.
Yeah,
that's I mean because obviously 9/11's that, and we'll send guys over, fuck him up, but I was like, no, he fell out of a helicopter. He's fighting Al Qaeda, and this is it.
This is a real thing.
For me, it was like I'm getting goosebumps right now because I met Neil at Team 2, and like he's the coolest older guy. He brought me to Arby's. And it's like, but remember that? Did you know so and so? It's like, fuck. What are we doing?
What do you mean? Did I know? Yeah.
And that's like the bullets are coming this way. And we get let's get into tactics now because that's when I noticed because you were an instructor for a long time too, and we went through Buds together SCT. The tactics were the same until the bullets came this way. And that's like stop everything that you know.
Yeah. We changed everything. So when I went back to actually, I was the way I got to go to Afghanistan the first time was as a desk jockey. I was a chief at the time. I'd made chief. And I was working in air ops, and Wes Plank. I don't know if you know Wes.
No.
So Wes was a damn net guy for a long time, and he came over to Group 2 to be the ops master chief. And Afghanistan is going off, and I think SEAL Team 10 deployed over there, and they kept asking for people for as LNOs in the siege of SOTF.
Yeah. Can you explain what all that means?
Oh.
Just acronyms everywhere.
Siege of SOTF is
a liaison to the Army, basically.
Yeah, to special operations.
Okay, cool.
So basically, I was the in between the SEAL platoon on the ground, the conduit of information, like missions that they wanted to do. They would send them to me, and I would get them approved by the colonel. And then send it back down. And anytime that anything was going on, if they were doing an operation or maybe there was a fire mission that was happening in in Afghanistan, I would make sure that there was a restricted air movement, a RAS, restricted air zone.
Yes.
So that no one would fly around or drop bombs where the SEAL
that is a
platoon was.
very important job.
Super important, super boring. Like not a lot goes on.
Super boring, however.
Watched a lot of movies.
Yeah, but when it comes down to the tip of the spear, people don't realize there are people that are doing
There's
stuff.
so much
very,
stuff on the
very
backside
important.
of it. Yeah.
I remember one of the gunfights I got into on the we ended up bombing Pakistan, trying to call air support. One of my guys was running a place in J-Bad. His brand new mechanic called a radio check. So we're like, yeah, we got so and so. I need whatever. It's like, this is so and so. Radio check. Get the fuck off the radio. Sorry, whatever. But no, it's very important though that with the. Who's who and whatever, keeping it.
Yeah,
keeping it
and so that was my. So while I was there, I kept hitting up the task unit. I'm like, hey, can I go out in the field? Hey, can I go out in the field? Hey, can I go out in the field? Because I want to. My whole career I've been in SDV.
Mm-hmm.
How does a regular SEAL team work? Because I'm going to leave here and I'm going to go to SEAL Team 10 as a platoon chief.
Platoon chief.
I need to learn some shit.
Yeah, platoon chief.
It was like one of the best. Yeah,
you're the fucking man.
OJT. Yeah, you're the man.
Mm-hmm.
And I've got some stories about that where I didn't actually know what the hell I was doing, but that's okay. There's some leadership stuff that I can apply there. So we were eventually Matt Richmond, who was the task unit JTAC, Joint Air Tactical Controller. Mm-hmm. He was like, yeah, I want to get some experience in the seat as the Siege of Soda for LNO. And I'm like, okay, awesome. And I went out in the field with the platoon for like 6 weeks.
He was working the platoon. He was
with the task unit, and then he took my spot.
So you went out in the field with him.
So I went, it was awesome.
Yeah.
And I drove a Hilux, like a soft armored, a soft skin Hilux.
I'm aware of those.
Like, you're on the right side of the vehicle, the wrong side of the vehicle, shifting like, but driving on the American side of the road.
Yeah.
If I could keep that truck, dude, when we showed up, so when SEAL Team 10 showed up, we didn't have any vehicles, or they didn't have any vehicles. I wasn't part of the team yet. Mm-hmm. And it was, the vehicles that showed up were white Humvees with red crosses on them that Group 4 was using as ambulances. So
that's kind of a target, I would think.
Well, they were painted, some beauflage and some Krylon, and built some wooden boxes on the side. And so they would very SF mission, because it was SF, Green Berets running the thing. They're like patrol to contact. Drive around, like the colonel would put his hand on the map. He's like, I want you to go there and drive around that area.
Patrol to contact.
That's
the stupidest fucking mission I've ever done.
I agree.
I hate
and
that
so
mission.
that was what we were doing.
So you were doing that. So you're out of the LNO spot right into the patrol to contact.
Yes, it was fantastic.
In Afghanistan.
See,
that's different because
early on.
Afghanistan, in my experience, those fuckers know how to fight.
Yeah.
By the way, they have the high ground.
All the time.
I was always amazed, like places like Asadabad. I ran a team out of there. The Russians lost there because they're in this valley.
Did I think one of my guys come and support you one time? I won't say his first name. I'll say his last name, Huertas.
Fuck yeah, he did.
Yeah.
He was with me on that mission where he he was the man.
Yeah,
he didn't get enough credit for that mission.
So we came back. So
that was his first real world. His first real world calls.
Yeah,
and he bombed Pakistan, and I almost went to prison.
Yeah,
so he's a hell of a good guy. Love that dude. No, he crushed it.
So
awesome.
when I was a task unit chief at SEAL Team 10, I would send guys over as often as I could to get experience over there that didn't have any experience, like medics, JTACs, things like that.
Well, one of your medics you sent was first name was Jesse. I'm not going to get into it, and he was a college cross country guy. And I'll never forget him. He was in the gun. He was in the gunfight with us. But I'll never forget. We went out. It's like a Memorial Day, and we obviously have the goats fighting and the cockfight and whatever. But the Afghans wanted to do a sprint up the Bull Run or whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, you're a college sprinter. Get up there. A dude beat him up the hill in flip flops. I'm like, these Afghans know what the fuck they're doing.
They're.
That's cool. Those are your guys.
They were my guys.
We got on the border. They I put them both in for Bronze Stars of Valor.
Yeah.
They crushed it.
Yeah, because I remember when we got to Iraq that for our deployment. Mags, who was my command master chief, who's awesome.
Yeah, he is.
Was like, hey, and he said, yeah, Rob O'Neill said you guys were the fucking man.
Fuck yeah, dude.
And fucking crushed it over here and like read out his award right at the beginning of the deployment.
He not only did he save our lives, and then he bombed Pakistan for us. Like he got us out of there calling in other birds. Like I don't think.
And he almost went to jail from that deployment.
Well, turns out he caused his shit. It was never my fault.
Well, it was a different thing that he got accused of. They were accused of maybe roughing some people up that maybe they weren't supposed to.
They had it coming.
But anyway.
So you're working with Team 10, then you go back and you take the platoon chief spot.
Yep.
Okay.
So I take over as a platoon chief, and which.
Can you explain too? Because this is Navy talk. We know what we're talking about. But the platoon chief is he's like this first.
He is the subject matter expert.
Yes,
he knows everything.
And so, can you explain what it's like? So you're the senior enlisted there, but you're dealing with officers.
Yes.
Explain the dichotomy of the leadership, because you'll get, especially in a platoon level in a SEAL team, your junior officer, he doesn't have any experience.
Zero.
And but it's your job to kind of, he's still sir, but it's like you need to.
Sir, why don't you take out the trash?
Yes.
Kind of thing. But
thank you, sir.
Right. So my job as a platoon chief is not only to the morale and welfare of the team, of the platoon. It's also, I'm the subject matter expert for everything, tactics, techniques, procedures, everything. And because I didn't grow up in a regular SEAL team, I had a deficiency. So when we were doing close quarter, I never did live fire.
I was going to ask about that.
The first time I ever did live fire close quarter combat was in Afghanistan.
Really?
Yeah, I had no idea what the fuck I was doing.
See, that's a tough one too, because that's we call it close quarters battle. I like to pretend I'm old and fat.
Right.
But CQB, CQC is the same thing, and that's and that was like the bread and butter at SEAL Team 6. But like, you got to know it to a point to where you got to come back to the simplicity.
I was good enough that I wasn't dangerous, but I still didn't know what the hell I was doing.
But your leadership style is awesome, because it's the simple, the communication, very, very simple stuff. So anyway, so you come as a platoon chief, and your first time live fire CQB is in Afghanistan.
Is in Afghanistan, working for SEAL Team 10, and then I go back and I'm a platoon chief.
Yes.
And then we're going through CQC, and now we had just started changing up tactics.
Yes, I wanted to ask you about that.
Wait, let me think about this before I say it. Yeah, so we used to do very hostage rescue.
Yeah, fast.
And then we started doing more combat clearance.
Yes.
And so,
the reason we did that was because when guys were running in the houses,
and
Al Qaeda had been studying our tactics,
and
they started mowing you down. And there was something else that we had called a hall boss.
Yes,
and that's
where I was getting to.
Go ahead.
And so before the hall boss was like a road guard. He was a traffic cop. He's a guy that stands out there and like directs people where to go. Well, what we learned is we don't need to tell SEALs what to do. You just train them how to do their job and let them go make the right decision. Because I can't really see what they're doing when I'm back here. I trust you to go make the right decision. So go execute. And so as I'm going through my first block of live fire CQC as a platoon chief, and guys are like asking me how to do this and how to do that. What I actually did was, I think was absolutely brilliant, is I would let my senior guys do a bunch of dry runs at the team and other stuff, and I would actually go with the training detachment and like do a bunch of other runs, and it was fortunate that we were shifting tactics because everyone had to learn it from the top down.
Oh yeah.
And so I went to every block of training I could. If another platoon was doing it, another group of leaders were doing it, whatever, to learn as much about it as I possibly could before I'm actually leading these guys in training and then later on in combat. And so then I would have my own guys like, okay, go run this. And I would kind of stand back and I would get in the train too, so that I could learn and fuck it up and no one would know it except for me, maybe one other person. And then when we were at Shaw's doing CQC, we would do a debrief at the end of the day, and I would say, okay, I'm going to give you, like, everyone go around the room, and we're going to do 2 lessons that we learned.
Yes.
And I would always go first.
Good.
And there was no way I was going last. So I'm going to go first. I'm setting myself up for success, but I'm also like letting everyone else kind of think about what they did right, what they did wrong, how we can do it better.
Yeah.
And we did that for several days. And then I'll say his last name. I don't know if he's still active duty, Domenzik.
Oh yeah.
He was my OIC. And so he's like, I think we're good on like, I'm like, you're right. We were like a really fucking good team, he and I. Officer enlisted. But going back to your question on training junior officers
especially, yeah.
Officers make the policy. They make the decisions on the battlefield. They are the ones who's really responsible.
Yeah.
The enlisted are as a senior enlisted guy, my job is to influence the policy. My job is to make sure that he's making the right decision because he doesn't know. Like his job is to like up and out. My job is the men, the mission, the everything else. Is this the right thing? Is this the right tactic? If he makes a bad call, I'm gonna be advising him on what call we need to make. And so later on, when I became a troop chief, and I think one of the things that you were kind of leaning towards is I would, I'm not shooting as much. I'm not on the gun as much. And so we were out doing,
this is what I was going to
land warfare training at Fort Chaffee. And I had a task unit commander, I will not say his name, Not all leaders in the SEAL teams are good leaders. It just happens to be.
It's common in a lot of places. Yeah.
And so I would argue that there were lots of times where I was not a good leader, but I learned through failure. Like we
that's
talked
where
about
I've learned
earlier.
the most is when I fucked up.
When I fuck things up, and that's pretty much everything that I've ever done.
Good, and that's where you learn. Yeah.
I fuck things up. I'm like, really? I fucked that up again. But okay.
Yeah.
And so we're at Fort Chaffee, and we're just back kind of observing guys, the young officers, and how the decisions they're making. And so this task unit commander runs behind one of the officers. I remember the officer's name that he ran behind. He was like, OODA loop, OODA loop, OODA loop. And I'm like, shut the fuck up and let him fail.
Yeah, just no kidding.
And number one, like does he even know what an OODA loop is? And I've hated that word for most of my life. I've learned to embrace it now.
OODA loop, but see, that's officers making shit up to sound cool.
Yeah. It was actually
that's observe, orient, decide, and act.
Yeah, it was actually an Air Force officer in Vietnam that came up with this.
It makes sense, but don't yell it at me when we're shooting.
Right, and I'm like, what are you doing? And so finally, I'm like, you know what? There's a better way to do this. So I went back, I put my kit on, gun, bullets, everything else, and in the next run, I was like, all right, here's the deal, sir. I'm a new guy. I'm not going to make any decisions. I will not make any calls. I will not undermine your authority on the battlefield. Right. Your job is to lead. And so you're going to lead. If you get stuck, I might pimp you with some information. Mm-hmm. You should already know what the call should be. And so we go through the next runs, and we start with small groups, squad size, 4 to 6 guys so that they're running. And I just position myself next to them so I can kind of observe them. I can still shoot. I can still have fun.
Right.
And, help him out if he needs help. And so almost 100% of the time, we get into contact, targets come up, we start shooting, and he always just starts shooting.
Literally front sight focus.
And I'm like, make a call. And he's like, stops, and he looks around. He doesn't quite know what call to make. He's nervous. I'm sitting there next to him. He doesn't want to fuck things up, and I understand that. And then he starts shooting again. What's the call? Eventually, he might make a call just to get me off his ass.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And I don't care what call he makes. If it's a good call or bad call, just make something so we can learn.
Yes.
And start moving this thing forward. And so eventually, he always goes back to shooting. So I let them do this handful of times, a couple of runs. And then, maybe on the third run, we go back, we reload. And I say, okay, this run, you don't get any bullets in your gun. You still have to carry all the bullets, but you don't get to shoot. The only way to for him to not shoot is to take his bullets away.
Take his bullets away. Yeah.
That's the only way. If I give him bullets, I don't care who it is, any SEAL bullets, he's going to fucking shoot.
He's going to shoot. Seriously.
Yeah. So you get no bullets. So I like to say leaders get no bullets.
No, it's smart though. That's a good way to do it.
And so now he gets on the battlefield. We get into contact, and he feels neutered. He feels inept. He's like, oh, you took my manhood away. And he's mad at me.
Whatever.
But you know what? Now he starts to observe the battlefield.
There you go.
He observes the enemy situation. He observes the friendly, like what is the
what's the enemy
what's
doing?
The team doing?
What are
and
we doing?
What is the terrain? He's actually looking around. He's actually seeing the battlefield. Mm-hmm. He observes the battlefield. He's like, oh, okay. And then if he's stuck, I might say, what about that ravine over there? What about that hillside? Or what about this thing? Because I'm thinking about it all the time. I'm walking down the street. I'm thinking about the terrain. I'm like, this is just me because I did it for my entire adult life. And so as we're patrolling in, it doesn't matter what it is. Like we're surrounded by high ground. We got something. Yes, and so and then we get in the gunfight. And then now if he's taken a little bit too long, I'll say, what's the call? And then, but I know he's not shooting, so I know he's processing.
Good.
And then I might say, what about that terrain feature? Or what about that thing that's behind us?
Yes.
Just to give him enough information for him to like, oh, okay. And then he makes a call. Good call or bad call, it doesn't matter.
He's making a call,
Let's
he's learning.
Start moving, because the thing about combat is you always have to be moving.
Yes, you want to be moving.
Movement is life.
Moving.
If you don't move, the enemy will maneuver on you. So if I talk about this a lot of times. You have 2 bodies of water. You come along, you're out in the desert, whatever, in the wilderness. One body is like a flowing, babbling brook, and one is like a stagnant pool of water.
Yeah.
Which one do you want to drink out of?
Mm-hmm. The one moving.
You want the one moving. Movement is life.
Yeah.
So you always have to move. And so to do that, you have to be looking around and things like that and see what's going on. The same thing in business, leadership, all that stuff. You're always moving. There's time, once you stop moving, you're dead. Your business is done. Your people are done. Like whatever. It doesn't matter what it is. And so he makes a call and we move. And every time you maneuver on the battlefield, your perspective of the battlefield
Yes.
changes.
Mm-hmm.
Like what you saw over here is very different from
not
what
the
you
same
see
over
over
there,
here.
Mm-hmm.
And so that will affect, and that goes back to OODA loop, what we were talking about earlier. And so eventually, like, you might move and like, oh, this is not the right way. And then he has to make a different call to move back another way, that's fine. That's how you learn.
Yeah.
And so then we get back, we finish that run, and we do a debrief. And once he learns to not shoot anymore, once he learns his job is not shooting.
Not shooting, yeah.
His
Other
job
guys,
is to lead.
Other guys can shoot.
Right. And the only time that his job that he should be shooting is if like we have a bunch of people up moving and there's no cover fire. Now he's now I don't care if you hit anyone, just make some noise and put some heads down.
Seriously, yeah.
So that
have a crack over the head. I mean, I think personally, especially those are immediate action drills.
Yeah.
I think what a junior officer needs to know is the most important thing right now is to get off the X.
Yeah.
And you're the guy.
Yeah.
And the other thing too, you brought up debriefs. I remember in the debriefs I learned was guys was at okay. It's like, well, here's what it's like. That's great. Tell me what you fucked up. Yeah. I don't want to hear about how awesome you were in that corner. Your angle man corner wave was great. I don't want to hear about that. What'd you fuck up?
Yeah.
Tell me when you sprained your ankle or whatever. And good officers, you can tell the dudes have been trained by a good platoon chief. When they got to where we were, like the 04 level, I remember being in a gunfight. I brought this up before. One of my O's, we follow on target. We get the quarterback shit out here and we're like, hey, we're gonna do this. And
I hated
I'm
those
like,
things.
I liked him to a point, when I got to call in support. But I remember saying, okay, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna go. You know what, sir? I'm sorry, you're in charge. And he looked at me and goes, make no mistake. You're in charge. I'm just responsible. Like if we all fuck this up, it's my ass. But what are we going to do? But that's just good leadership there. And something that you said too about I love this multitasking.
Multitasking.
Tell me your thoughts on that.
So I like to say multitask like a Navy SEAL.
Yeah.
And so, I like to use a gunfight as the medium to teach leaders. And so most people, when I give this class or speak about it, I'll ask, what do you think about, like, who here is good at multitasking? And almost everyone raises their hand and like, yeah, I gave a class about this in Canada about a month ago. And everyone was like, yeah, I'm good at multitasking, and that's what corporate America wants you to do. They want you to multitask. I'm like, okay, so let's multitask like a Navy SEAL. And let's use a gunfight, for example. So when you're in a gunfight, there's 3 things that you have to do really, really well. Mm-hmm. You have to be able to shoot, you have to be able to move, and you have to be able to communicate. Mm-hmm. Nothing else matters. Not, if you left the fucking lasagna in the oven, not, did you have a fight with somebody? Did you whatever, that email I need to return? You shoot, move, and communicate. Nothing else matters. Yep. And so when you're in a gunfight and you are engaging the enemy, you're shooting your weapon, there's a lot of stuff that has to happen prior to that. So before you can shoot, you have to, you get contacted, you get ambushed, you take cover. Before you got to locate the enemy. But before you do that, you need to look at your team. Where is your team at? Sometimes we've had people get shot in training and killed in training because they took cover right in front of someone. Yep, and the guy that was, getting ready to shoot, or the guy that shot, didn't take the time to look and make sure that nobody was in front of him. And so as he's like squeezing the shot off, dude pops up and,
one of the back.
back of the head, whatever it is. Yeah. And that's how we kill people. So let's slow the fuck down.
Slow the fuck down. Slow as smooth as fast.
Look around. What's going on? Where are my people? Where is the enemy?
Don't just be sending rounds down range.
Is there going to be collateral damage if I start engaging?
What's behind your target?
Right.
Yeah, wow.
And so then you line up your sights and you squeeze the trigger and you deliver.
Unless you're a 60 gun or belt fed guy, you need to make it count.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's dangerous stuff too. I remember tactics constantly changing with as far as like angles and whatnot. Like, where's the wave come? Where does this come?
Right.
But the communication, you bring that up a lot too. And what my big thing is, and I think I read it in what you're saying is, the less you talk, the better you are. Because you brought up because you're a C2 element, and we're talking in combat now.
Yep.
2 radios. You're on the command. You're on the assault and command.
Right.
And I've noticed that people get excited, they start yapping.
Oh my God!
What would you do because you got 2 different ears?
I got 2 radios, 2 different frequencies coming in, and I have to decide what's the most important thing.
Yes.
Like I can listen to 2 different conversations, kinda, and sort of half-ass process. I'm not really doing a good job of processing either one of them, but I'm listening for what's the most important thing. Mm-hmm. And so when the most important thing pops up, and doesn't matter what ear, I'll actually turn the other radio volume all the way down.
Turn it down.
And then if there's a bunch of chatter, I'll say, shut the fuck up and get off the radio.
Stop talking.
Only say what needs to be said.
That's it.
Very simple.
Mm-hmm.
And so, when one of the things that we learned in, we'll just use IADS in that gunfight scenario is when you're communicating, if you can communicate a very clear, specific message that can be a lot of words, if you can condense that down to 2 to 5 words, 2 to 3 words, and get your point across, and everyone knows what they need to do.
That's it.
Like, people like to be verbose. They've got a lot of words. They want to like sound important. I don't know what.
No.
Shut the fuck up. Tell me exactly what I need to know so I can go do my thing.
Up. When you're done saying what you're saying, stop saying it.
Right.
Well, I remember doing training. Guys love to talk in CQB. And I remember watching guys turn a corner and point up and go, stairwell. It's like, okay, everyone stop.
You know what?
I'm assuming it's a stairwell or you're fighting an 18-foot man.
Right.
Either way, this is bad.
Or there's a roach on the ceiling or something you want to hear.
Yeah, just chill out. You can tell based on how someone's moving. Communicate. You can communicate and move
nonverbal communication.
Yeah. But the one thing that I read, you talked about commander's intent. I love that because I think you brought up like Gettysburg, commander's intent with the Confederates. They didn't quite explain commander's intent. What you're giving to subordinates as far as here's what we want,
right? And
then I give you the freedom to do it. Right?
Yeah. So commander's intent was something OODA loop. I didn't really understand. I didn't like it. Whatever.
It sounds awesome, by the way.
Commander's intent, I also didn't really understand until later on, and it was on the 2005 deployment with Domenzik, and we were planning on going and doing a mission, and we were talking about contingencies. If we get ambushed on the way in, I said we're going to eliminate the ambush.
Yes,
and I was right, but I was also wrong. It depends on
there's a lot of variables now.
Right. And so if it was like a big gunfight that needed to happen, we needed to fight our way out.
Yeah.
If it was just pop shots, and so he was like, well, that doesn't meet commander's intent. And I was like, we need to go have a conversation and figure out what the commander's intent. Because every brief, we always put up commander's intent, like mission statement, commander's intent, all this other stuff. But no one actually really knew what it was. So commander's intent is, the simple answer is the commander's intent is the desired end state.
Okay.
What is the desired end state? It doesn't matter if it's in combat, if it's in business, whatever it is. What is the desired end state? And then inside that desired end state, what are the left and right boundaries that you have to stay inside of? It's like road guard, like rails. What do you call them? Guardrails.
Bumpers.
Guardrails on a road, or bumpers in a bowling alley. And so as long as you stay in between those guardrails, you're good to go. As long as you're legal, moral, and ethical. I don't care how you do the mission, how you execute it. You have freedom of movement, and that gave us the ability to the 7s, 8s, 6s, whatever. They don't care how you do it.
Yeah,
they just want it to be done, and they want it to stay inside of these
right.
These parallels.
But I think it goes along with if your people know what they're doing and why, because you did mention if they know why they're doing it.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people get lost in that in fake leadership roles because it's a need to know basis and you don't need to know. I think that's bullshit. I want to tell you why you're doing it.
Yeah.
Because the 2 points you brought up in the stuff that I was reading was the USS Cole was going to pull out early, and those Al Qaeda operatives, they knew the commander's intent, blow a fucking hole in the side of the ship. But I guess the ship's going to leave early. Those dudes just went and did it.
Right. They didn't need to wait for.
First of all,
they didn't need to wait for
up on high.
Some guy to say go execute now. They said this is the mission. Go execute it, and so they did.
So how do you get to a point where you can? Because you're saying about it's sort of a delegation. You want to be able to trust your people. How do you get to be able to trust the junior operator?
Train your people.
You
have to train them to the nth degree. Okay. Train them till they don't want to be trained anymore.
Yeah.
Train them and then test them. Make sure they know what they're doing, and then let them fail.
Yeah, let them fail.
They have to fail. That's where the most learning happens. Mm-hmm. No one likes to fail. No one likes to fail. And I say I hate failing, but I love failure. I hate failing, but I love failure.
You're learning from it.
Yeah.
Training, communication, repetition. Do it again.
Yeah.
But I found too, and this is just me talking, did you find the same thing that training was so hard? Actual combat is like, are we missing something?
Yeah.
Because we just kicked their ass.
Yeah. How did that work out?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, sometimes it's like shooting fish in a barrel.
I was
like, oh, that was too easy.
I remember though, because we would joke before 9/11. The joke was instead of train like you fight, it's like, hey, train like you train, because we're just going to train and train, right. And then all of a sudden the fight comes. Like, I'm glad we did the over the beach and the 3 days in and all the bullshit.
Yeah, do all that hard stuff.
Because we're really fucking good at this shit.
But what has also happened is because we did train to such a hard level, I'm not even going to say a high level, such a hard level,
yeah.
is because when things did go sideways, and they have, where you go out for like I'm going out for 10 hours, 8 hours, and we're still out there like 3 weeks later.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We didn't plan for this. Well, we kind of did.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we need a resupply. Okay, check. Like I thought I was coming back and sleeping in my bed.
I thought so, yeah.
I'm not going to be in my bed for
it doesn't matter how we got here, we're just here.
Yeah.
So now what do we do?
So now we have to work it out and figure it out. But you can only be prepared for that if you prepare doing hard shit. Kind of like what your question was earlier.
Yeah.
Like why do you like? Yeah, because it sucks.
Contingency it to death too. But the one thing you didn't think about is probably going to happen.
Right.
Can you briefly get into the 5 SEAL secrets?
5 SEAL secrets. Yes.
I've written them down.
So,
just want to go over them again.
Yeah, so I like to call this is 5 secrets to help you think like a Navy SEAL. And the secret is you have to get naked. And naked is an acronym. Naked stands for the N is never quit. And when I say never quit, I don't mean smoking, drinking, or whatever. Right. I mean, those are things you should quit. When I say never quit, I mean never quit on yourself, never quit on the goals, whatever you want to achieve. Take it all the way to the end, whatever that looks like. And the way you do that is create small victories. And that was a thing that I learned in SEER school, when they taught us the code of conduct and all other stuff, and you're a prisoner of war, they said, create small victories, like things that control the things that you can control. If you're being interrogated,
that's good.
If you are being interrogated, at some point you have to tell them, answer their questions. So that's what they teach you to do. Be proud of your actions. So maybe you give them a little bit of information, but you change some of the details.
Right.
We practice creating small victories in BUDS, in Hell Week. So one thing is constant during Hell Week is they feed you 4 meals a day.
True. Get to the next meal.
And all you got to do is make it to the next meal. So all of those are small victories. So take up whatever it is, the thing that you're trying to accomplish, and you chop that thing up into bite-sized goals, and you do that, at least one of those every day. Eventually you're going to get where you want to get. And so each one of those are small victories. Maybe you do 1 a day, maybe you do 10 a day. I don't care. Just go do. And those small victories are, they will give you momentum to get where you want to go. And so I was using this as an example. I hiked the Grand Canyon twice last year, rim to rim to rim. The first time was, I'll tell you, the top 5 hardest things I've ever done in my life. And it was snow and ice and whatever, and we saved a kid's life on that thing, which is pretty cool. A different story we'll talk about another day. But on the way out, the Grand Canyon is like climbing 2 mountains. But you start at the top of one, you to the bottom, hike to the top of the other one, hike to the bottom, and you have to climb the top of the mountain to get out. No one thinks about that.
No.
And so I'm like on my way out. It's 54 miles, and I'm probably a couple miles from. And we just in one run, in one day, and
54 miles.
54 miles, yeah. It was legit.
I was thinking about that.
I think the first time it took me 25 and a half hours to finish. And
that's no bullshit.
It's legit. And on the way out, I was feeling sorry for myself. I'm like, as it got dark, I could see the guys that were in front of me. There were like, I don't know, 8, 10 guys in front of me, and I could see their headlamps way the fuck up there. And I'm like, how am I ever going to catch them? And I saw guys down below me, like 3 or 4 guys below me. And then they started catching up to me, and I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with me? I'm just feeling sorry for myself. I just want to like take a nap. I want to like close my eyes. I'm tired. I'm like pissed off at everybody. Fuck everyone. Fuck everything. Fuck this. Eventually it was dark. My headlamp, I got to where the last 2 miles of just snow and ice, put my crampons on, and my headlamp battery was running out. So my light was getting smaller.
Shit. Okay.
The guy with the batteries was way up there. And again, I'm just feeling sorry for myself. And all I did is I just looked at the ground. I stopped looking up. I stopped looking back. And my steps, I swear my steps were not like half the length of my foot. And all I did was just make it to the edge of that.
Little victory.
That little small victory. Just make it to the edge of the white light right there. Make it to the edge of the circle. And I don't know how long I was doing that.
Doesn't matter.
At some point, I looked up and I caught 6 of the guys that were in front of me. And I passed them. And I got out before them.
I'm still impressed with how far that was.
But it was amazing. But it was like, rather than taking these big steps, I took the tiniest, smallest,
the little goals,
and I built momentum and speed, and like I stopped comparing. I stopped looking around.
Good.
I stopped anything else.
That's cool.
Just fucking look at my own self and what are my actions so Ian was never quit.
Next meal.
Yeah.
I remember the long-term goal in Hell Week was, can I make it to Wednesday morning when the sun comes up?
Oh yeah.
Because at that point I should be just delirious. Doesn't
right.
matter.
Who cares? Who cares at that point? So N is never quit. A is accept failure. We talked about failure.
Yep.
K is kill mediocrity. And we're surrounded by mediocrity every day. If you look at the powers to be, the whoever's fucking, the world wants us to be mediocre because we're more easy to control that way.
That's true. That's true.
So so how do you kill mediocrity? I say to compete in kindness.
Compete. You know what? That's true.
Can you be the kindest person you know? Compete in gratitude. Compete in generosity. Can you be the most generous
That's
person?
some Mississippi shit right there.
It doesn't even have to be financial. It can be just like with your time, with your kindness, with your whatever. Can you compete in gratitude? I found that gratitude is a superpower. And so every day I write down 5 things that I'm grateful for. 4 of those things are super easy. Like life, fitness, finances, whatever, the things that are in my life that I'm grateful for that bring me happiness.
That's cool.
And one of the things is something that brings me great pain. Something that is, for example, my company, Naked Warrior Recovery, we're being sued right now for trademark infringement for using the word naked. They don't have a case. However, so my original thought was like, are you fucking kidding me? I don't have the fucking time, I don't have the money, I don't have the effort, like the fucking distraction of like going through a fucking lawsuit right now. And my second thought was, I'm grateful for this because I get to learn how to go through a lawsuit. I get to learn how to manage all this shit that I would never know any other way. Also, that kind of goes back to what we were talking about earlier, haters and all this other stuff.
Yeah,
if I can hate, like, you know what? If you get haters, then you're doing a good job.
Mm-hmm.
You're doing the right thing.
Yeah, I agree.
Because you're like ruffling feathers. So
Yeah.
for me, I was like, oh, awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, come on there, other naked company. Like, let's fucking go.
You don't know who the company is?
I do know that.
Okay.
Like, I don't like. So Naked Warrior Recovery is a service disabled veteran-owned
Yes.
small business. I'm
Yes.
100% disabled through the VA, which is really I'm 250% disabled if you add everything up.
Mm-hmm.
The other company, they're called Naked Way or Naked Nutrition,
Yeah.
and they're suing me for using the word naked in my company, Naked Warrior Recovery. The Naked Warrior has been around since World War II.
Yeah, that's some
And
NCDU
so we
shit,
got
Naval
some
Combat Demolition Unit
right,
type shit.
old school. And so, and that's the predecessor of today's Navy SEAL.
Yes, of course. That's where naked comes from. Get
Right.
naked.
And our mission at Naked Warrior Recovery is eliminating veteran suicide 22-0. So my dad is one of those 22 that took his own life. So it's a very personal mission for me.
Of course it is, yeah.
And CBD was a modality that helped me get there. So anyway, so I'm being sued for trademark infringement
Naked.
for using the word naked, but none of my products are called naked, only the name of my company.
Naked Warrior Recovery. Yeah.
Naked Warrior Recovery, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so anyway, they're suing it, but I'm grateful for that. I'm like, fuck yeah, let's fucking go.
Yeah.
Well,
like you're saying too with the haters, like one of my favorite sayings is, the burglars don't rob an empty house. So
Right.
they're coming after you because you're doing something right. And that
Right.
fucking
And
sucks. I'd love to help you. And if you need to employ the sniper tactics we learned,
Yeah,
I mean,
we got some.
That'll
we
be
got some-
offline.
We got some stuff. Yeah.
But let's talk about where the Naked Warrior. Now you've been sending me your stuff. The greens are awesome, but the sleep stack I fucking love.
Yeah, it is
Can you
one of-
explain?
one of my favorite, yeah.
Well, because I mean it's anything from anxiety or PTSD or whatever. The sleep thing is just it can be a motherfucker. What you're putting out is incredible. Can you just explain where people can find it, what they can get, and what?
Yeah. So if you go to nw-recovery.com, and I'll create a QR code. Let's call it RJO.
There we go.
20. RJO 20.
Naked RJO.
Oh
No, just do it.
We don't
I don't want
wanna
to
go
get
there.
sued.
That's
too.
yeah.
I got enough legal issues. Yeah, but we'll do that. We'll put it.
We'll
on
do that RJO 20. And but yeah, nw-recovery.com or nakedwarriorrecovery.com. I have both websites.
Well, they can find you online too, though.
You can find me. You can Google me. I'm pretty easy to Google. I've been on a handful of podcasts. William Branum.
There we go.
Nice. But yeah, so sleep is a superpower.
Yeah.
My sleep has sucked for a super long time.
Mm-hmm.
Going to sleep has been a really hard thing for me to do. I used to use alcohol as my medication to like turn my brain off and like shut down at the end of the day. It really hampers your sleep.
Yep. Hampers a lot of things.
Yeah, it can really fuck you up. But CBD. So now I use a small amount of THC with the CBD. And what CBD did is help turn down the noise in my head. It's also found that there are modalities in or essential oils in CBD in the oil that comes out of the hemp plant or the cannabis plant that help with neuroplasticity. So they helps with TBI and things like that. Helps with some PTSD stuff. I'm not a medical doctor. This is not medical advice. It is just a modality. But so I use the sleep gummies. They have 30 milligrams of CBD. other minor cannabinoids, some melatonin, some CBN, which is sedative molecule. I also have some soft gels. I take that as well. And I take the 5 milligram. It has 30 milligrams of CBD and 5 milligrams of Delta-9 THC. And that helps, like, what that does is that, it gives you sort of the same buzz that alcohol gives you, but there's no hangover. There's no nothing. At the end of the day, I'm just like, I feel
well, it's
good.
legit sleep too. It's not restless sleep like alcohol.
Right. I fucking go to sleep.
Yeah.
And I stay
and a lot
asleep.
of people too. It's not just PT. You don't need to be to combat to have PTSD.
No,
a
not
lot
at
of
all.
you get. I mean, if it's anything from the goofy Instagram shit you watch that the elephants are playing trumpets or whatever.
Watch the media.
This will really, but this can. Yeah, I love the sleep stack. I'm a huge advocate of it. So they can find you there. And then where else? What else are they looking for? The public speaking thing. What
public speaking? If you go to 5 Steel Secrets, the number 5steelsecrets.com. So it's never quit, accept failure, kill mediocrity, expose your fears, and do the work. Are the five Steel Secrets. But if you go to 5steelsecrets.com, just put your name and email. I think maybe I asked for a phone number in there. I'm not going to call you, but put that in there, and I'll email you the this. It's an ebook basically, and
awesome,
and check it out.
Very cool, man. I'm going to put this all up here too. I'll put it on my site too. I'll be promoting the shit out of it, but we had a chance to catch up. This has been great, Will. Seriously.
Yes, sir.
Our next one's going to be, because you said you will teach me and my daughter Valor how to surf.
Yes.
So we're coming out.
Come out to Hawaii and
there's good ways to Hawaii, and I love tiger sharks, man. I'm a fan. I think bull sharks give tiger sharks a bad.
Maybe we we also maybe we can just go hang out with the sharks,
or we just hang out. I'm cool with
just
that.
like go float around.
Valor's not cool with sharks. She's like 11 weeks old.
Right. She's not yet. She's got to use a dad. You'll throw her in the water and
Well, it's been awesome catching up with you, brother.
Yes, sir.
So much fun.
Stoked.
Great time talking. And remember the 5 lessons of being a Navy SEAL, and you're never out of the fight.
Hey, and don't forget to get naked.
Get naked, and you're never out of the fight. I like that better.